Well, hot off the heels of Apple's One More Thing event, and quite frankly, I'm a little bit disappointed, but I'm going to go across and recap what was announced at the One More Thing event, some of the things we were expecting, some of the things that weren't announced, and yeah, we'll just get it covered off, shall we? So before we get going, hit that subscribe button because it really helps the channel to grow, but let's just kick it all off. And as expected, it was all about the Mac. But as we didn't expect, it was all about the Mac, and just the Mac, which, well, there were loads of other little one more things that we were expecting to come along to this, but alas, we didn't get them. So I'm going to refer to a couple of my notes that I was frantically scraping down on my iPad throughout that thing, and the first thing was Apple announced their M1 chip. So that is the name they are giving to Apple Silicon, the chip that is running inside of it. So everybody thought we're going to get like an A14X or an A14T, but no, we've got the M1 chip, which I suppose just makes sense. And the M1 chip is basically a 5nm chip that blows the competition out of the water, according to Apple, when it comes down to power usage and performance per watt. So it is really exciting. The M1 chip is an 8-core design, and it runs on 4 power efficient cores and 4 performance cores. So what that basically does in, I suppose, English, is you have your 4 cores that are able to really go full hog and take advantage of all the power that goes into it. But when you're doing lightweight tasks and you don't need all of that extra performance, it has the 4 efficiency cores, which allows it to consume a lot less power, and it gives these Macs a massive boost in their battery life. Apple made some pretty bold claims in this, and we didn't necessarily get to see much in the way of how it's actually going to perform, but apparently it is going to be 2 times faster per watt in terms of the CPU. Moving on to the GPU, that is going to be an 8-core design, and we're going to get an integrated GPU with this. And again, they're making some pretty bold claims that this is going to be 2 times faster per watt than the fastest integrated GPU on a Windows-based laptop. So again, some pretty bold claims there, and if it really does perform that well, that could be something special to see. So what actually got announced in terms of hardware? So that's a little bit about the M1 chip, and until we, I guess, get to see it in real world examples, we're not going to get a real true idea of it. But Apple are making some huge claims there, some massive boost in performance, which we kind of expected to see. But then there was the hardware and what is going to be taking advantage of those M1 chips. And the first one up is the MacBook Air, which we expected and seemed to get leaked to death. And the MacBook Air looks and feels identical to the previous ones. So they haven't done any design changes across any of their models here, which again, was expected. What we are probably expecting to see is that next year we'll see some change in the design architecture, some change in that design language as they really start to show off what these devices can do and make them more appealing to the mass market. But the MacBook Air is 3.5 times faster than the previous generation, which is again a really big claim there, but it sports 5 times faster graphics. So for anybody who is looking to do anything that is graphics intensive and really take advantage of things like video editing, photo editing, or even gaming, this thing is promising to be a performance beast in an ultra thin and light device. It's also fanless, so it is going to run completely silent. And that is amazing. If they can pull off that kind of performance in a completely silent device, in something that is that thin and light, wow. Could be very interesting. Another interesting thing is apparently the M1 chip will allow for vastly improved webcam performance as well. So never thought we'd see this, a day and age where the Macs might actually support a webcam that doesn't look like a grainy old mess. But apparently they will. It'll reduce noise, it's better low light performance, it should just be an all-around better image. But until we actually get to see those in real life, let's take that with a pinch of salt, shall we? Interestingly, there's no price saving here, so it's going to start at $9.99. So all of those rumors that were flying about that this is going to be about $100 cheaper, unfortunately, nope. Looks like Apple are going to pocket those savings and put it back into R&D, which I guess kind of makes sense. But it is a bit of a shame for anybody who was trying to, get a bit of a saving by waiting for these. So the MacBook Air looks great. Looks like it's going to be a really good performance power horse in a light and thin package. So again, until it gets in the hands of reviewers and you can see some real life benchmarks and how it actually performs, I guess we shall just wait and see. The next one that they announced was the Mac Mini, which kind of makes sense. All the developer kits were Mac Minis, and again, it's one of those things, it's small, it's lightweight, it's something that is going to be going towards, I guess, just the general consumer who's not needing to do a massive amount. So it's nice that that got a refresh. So the Mac Mini is apparently 3 times faster than the quad-core version that's currently on the market. So again, a vastly improved performance there. It offers that same 8-core GPU, and it is 6 times faster than the current generation of Mac Mini. And this one does have a cost saving, so it starts at $699, so a massively appealing package there. So this is really going to cater to a massive amount of people. If you're looking to replace even just your media setup or your media unit, your little lightweight PC in the office or anything like that, $699 is a really, really compelling package for these. So we shall just have to wait and see how that performs. The last one that they announced was the MacBook Pro 13-inch, which again was rumoured to death. So this one's going to support 5 times faster graphics than the previous generation. And one of the great things about all of these devices is that they get vastly improved battery time. So on the MacBook Pro 13-inch, for example, it will give you 17 hours of web browsing time and 20 hours of video playback, which is awesome if you're somebody who is using these on the go and you're away from power supply, or if you just don't want to have to charge it up all the time. You are literally going to be able to get through a full day of charge on this without having to plug it in or worry about that. So that sort of battery worry that you sometimes do have, that's just going to go. You'll be able to go out to your meetings, you'll be able to go to different places. Obviously, once COVID goes away, you'll be able to go out of the house and not worry about charge. These things are promising awesome battery life, and that's going to be really interesting to see. But back to the MacBook Pro 13-inch, it's going to include studio mics on there. Again, that improved webcam setup using the M1 chip. But no cost saving. This is $12.99 starting price, so unfortunately we didn't get that rumoured $100 saving. But still, a good package if this thing can deliver the kind of performance that Apple are talking about. All of these models are available to order as of right now, and they're all shipping next week, so a really, really fast turnaround. And if you're interested in macOS Big Sur, that will be available to download from November 12th as well, so make sure you're prepped and ready for that if you're going to be upgrading to the latest operating system. So all in all, these things look like they are going to deliver massively improved performance in the thin and light form factor. It'll be really interesting to see what they can actually pull off, because there were, again, loads of things that Apple's saying and loads of things they were showing off in terms of their own apps. Things like Final Cut, for example, will run across all of those devices and be able to edit 4K footage with no problem at all. But the one thing we didn't really see was any particular third-party applications. We saw a lot of talk about Baldur's Gate 3, and apparently that's going to work on Apple Silicon, so interesting, but we didn't get shown any other games that aren't already running on macOS, so yeah, we'll see how that happens. It doesn't look like Apple have really got any of the gaming community on board or the gaming developers, which was one of my concerns when we talked about the Apple TV as a gaming device. And that brings us on to the next topic of what didn't they announce. We didn't get to see the Apple Air tags, which have been long rumoured, and I suppose it doesn't make sense for them to announce them and bring them out when everybody's locked in at home, because you're not going to be losing your keys everywhere. But it is a shame that we didn't get that. We only got the one more thing, which was the Max. We also didn't get the AirPod Studios, which was another one that was rumoured, so looks like that's going to be shipping at a later date. And then the last thing that we didn't get was Apple TV. We didn't get either of those, and again, there were two rumoured. There was the standard Apple TV, but then there was the Apple TV, like the games console version of it. And when I was watching this event, I kept on thinking, they're not showing off any forms of games at the moment just because they're saving them for the Apple TV announcement, and then we didn't get one. And that tells me that Apple just haven't got gamers on board and they haven't got game developers on board. But these devices seemed really geared towards your content creators, your professionals, your prosumer, that sort of person who needs a thin and light package that can pretty much do it all, and it's not really focused at that gaming side of things. So alas, we didn't get that. So quite a lot of things there that weren't announced, but those things that were announced look absolutely awesome. And if you want to be on the bleeding edge of technology, then go order one now. They all come in at pretty competitive prices. But personally, I would recommend just hang fire until they start landing in reviewers' hands so people can do some benchmarks, so they can actually give you some real world examples of what these things are really capable of. Because at the moment, you've got all of Apple's benchmarks to go on and Apple's hyperbole. I would hang fire just a little bit to see what these are capable of. One question we got asked on the live stream was, should I regret my MacBook Pro 16-inch purchase? And I would say at this stage, no. If you're after something with a big screen real estate that is powerful, that is running on Intel, then that is the device to go for. Another thing to bear in mind is no matter how fast these things run, it doesn't matter if they can't run your apps and basically get you through your workday, because there could be some compatibility issues. It's only a week away to see how these things perform in the wild, how these things perform with existing applications, and how these M1 and Apple Silicon chips actually support things in the real world. So it's not too long to wait, so just hang fire a little bit. I assume that's it from Apple this year, and we will just have to wait until next year to get those little things that they didn't announce. But you know what, it's been a really exciting year from Apple, and they've announced all sorts of different things. So as always, if you've got any questions, fire them down to me in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer those. If you want me to do a deeper dive into the tech behind the M1 processors, then I can do that, and I will dig out my textbooks and everything that Apple have got to say to developers, and we'll go from there. Hit that subscribe button because it really helps the channel to grow, and we're on the up and up at the moment, and it is awesome to have you guys coming along for the ride. But in the meantime, let us know, will you be buying a M1 Mac or will you be holding off for now? Stay safe, and we'll be back soon. Ta-ra!